We were all wondering too. Usually when we have somebody sitting there, they're always presenting. We have another meeting coming up tonight before, right after us? Oh, good, so we don't have to feel pressured. Okay. We may have to change the schedule a little bit. Maybe they're just running late. Start your staff report early or something. Play it by ear. Vamp until ready, right? Hey, she can entertain us with a tune. She brought her clarinet. Well, shall we? Okay, we're on, ladies. Good afternoon. Welcome to the City of Urbana Arts and Culture Commission meeting, Tuesday, February 11th, 2025, beginning at 4:30 p.m. in City Hall. Our first item on the agenda today is a call to order and a roll call.
Lori Fuller.
Present.
Alicia Rodriguez.
Present.
Sarah Buckman.
Present.
Barbara Headland.
Present.
Abby Harris.
Present.
Hannah Andreessen.
Present.
Xander Hazel.
Here.
The next item on our agenda today is the approval of minutes of our previous meeting. Do we have any discussion or vote to?
Motion to approve the minutes for January 28th.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The ayes have it. Do we have any additions to the agenda today, Vivian?
I did just have one announcement that I will make before my staff report
Oh, okay.
in regards to a new commissioner.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. Oh, we'll be eagerly awaiting the news. Do we have any public input today?
No public input was sent in.
Okay, thank you. Well, since we're about to start on the schedule. It says grant presentations, but I don't see our presenters here yet, so we might have to just rearrange a little bit. Start with your staff report and then maybe have to put it on pause if they come up, if they show up. Okay.
So I don't have very much to share, but in regards to our new commissioner, Robert White, some of you might be familiar with Robert. He works for Experience Champaign-Urbana, and he sent in an application, really excited and a passionate resident of Urbana, and has kind of kept an eye on the Arts Commission and what we're doing. So he decided to send in that application. So I'm hoping that he'll join us during the March meeting. So we'll find out more about Robert then. Right. I just wanted to start off this report with the arts grants information. We have the Urbana Arts Grants will be open. The applications will close on March 31st. We have 3 workshops. The first one coming up this month on February 19th, and that's going to be an overview sort of webinar in the evening. And then there will be 2 other sessions that people can come to learn more about the grants, ask questions, just bring their computers. We'll also have some laptops provided at the Urbana Free Library so people can work on their applications, kind of working and getting help in real time, which is really helpful when it comes to these grant applications. And then sort of closer to the end of March, I'll have a day dedicated or a morning dedicated to sessions that are one-on-one that people can come and ask sort of last-minute questions or get some feedback that's a little bit more personal one-on-one. So here's sort of just that information about the grant cycle overview webinar. More information and the registration link can be found on the urbanail.gov website. That is the grants. Actually,
Starting to get a lot of inquiries.
lots of emails have been coming in, asking questions about, you know, what's eligible, what's not eligible. So pretty much everything can be found online. The guidelines are up for 2025 and sort of the layout, the breakdown of the tier categories. So that's all on the website. Just sort of, oops, I think I meant to go back and ask Sarah if you wanted to give any sort of updates on Poet Laureate.
Not right now, because I
Yeah.
think we still have some contracts, but there was a jury that looked at, we got a lot of great applicants for the Urbana Poet Laureate, and so they're still in the beginning stages, so we'll have an announcement soon. But yeah, thank you to everybody that is watching for applying if you were a Poet Laureate applicant, and yeah, and thank you to all of our jurors for reviewing all of the applications, and then probably by next meeting we'll have officially announced it.
Thank you. I have some updates regarding some 40 North activities. So the Murals on Glass program, which is the window display program that we have with 40 North, that submission is open. That call for submissions is open. And I believe that's on their website, the 40 North website. So the 2 locations, the new areas that we're going to be installing artwork are both attached to Lincoln Square Mall. The first location is sort of that main atrium.
Right over there.
Yep, just across the street. The main atrium that people will go into, I think that's the south entrance. And so these really awesome doors that are windows barely ever get opened up all the way. So it's a great location to have art displayed, as well as the east entrance, sort of close between Amara and Common Grounds. There's going to be artwork that's going to be installed there too. So pretty exciting. And once we get submissions in, and we'll go through those and bring them to you guys, and we'll get to choose some more art for that. Lunar New Year, the celebration that sort of different partners in Urbana and Champaign have come together to do this celebration. That calendar sort of event thing ended today, with our last event being the Kuroshio and Postmark events on Saturday. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that. This was the event with Jason Finkelman, Joy Yang, and Kavi Naidu doing some sort of a exploration of sound inspired by Lunar New Year. And I know Mark Anthony was there, and Barbara came to that show, and it was a really great time at Gallery Art Bar. They did 2 sets of really interesting, sort of experimental, improvisational music. And a lot of people came out, and it was a really great turnout. And I think that The community is sort of really eager to grow Lunar New Year each year, and it's pretty exciting to be a part of that.
Program at Krannert Center last week.
Huge. Mm-hmm.
Started out with the youth orchestra and then went on to dance and everything. It was really very packed.
Yeah.
Great hall looked filled.
And last year, the Lunar New Year celebration, like the big one, was at the Phillips Rec Center, and that was pretty packed and bumping as well. So I think that they sort of needed a bigger venue to do sort of that big cultural event. Next, what I wanted to do was just kind of go through and do a Urbana Arts grant update for fiscal year 24. This is sort of a new thing for us. So instead of the grantees coming in and giving their 5 to 10 minute presentations, it's optional for them. So I received reports from Rose Bowl and also from Tara Jaggers, who did Big Hug Urbana. So this is sort of what Rose Bowl had to say, just as some information to share. The aftermarket focused on programming Saturday afternoon events, which occurred outdoors in the parking lot patio of Rose Bowl Tavern. This program consisted of 26 Saturday events during May through October of 2024. There was an average of 100 plus people per Saturday, which was an increase from last year and years previous. Goals met during this period included presenting a majority of performances with accessible times and outdoor space. All events were free. They continued to collaborate with Girls Rock CU, CU Folk and Roots, and the Up Center. And they continued to create a welcoming, lively, and energetic community event series in downtown Urbana. So that's what Rose Bowl had to say. And I know that they really are really grateful for getting that grant for the aftermarket. The next grantee who submitted their reports was Tara Jaggers, who proposed the Big Hug Urbana community mural. Big Hug Urbana was a free, publicly accessible, interactive, and collaborative painting project held on August 24th at Urbana's Market at the Square. We brought together over 100 participants for an early morning painting. Individually, each painter worked on a small tile that was then affixed to a big grid, like a puzzle piece. The mural came together in real time over the course of 4 hours. So that is the mural. And I think that right now it's in Lincoln Square Mall, so you can kind of check it out up close and personal. But these grantees both completed their reports. Wanted to check to see if Ricardo was here. Okay, so I'll wait on that. Just some upcoming events and opportunities. Tomorrow, the CU BIPOC Artist Collective is meeting for a year in review to talk to people about just reflecting on the past year and planning for the future in terms of programming. And that's going to be at the Champaign Public Library tomorrow at 6 to 7:30. Harmony Through Beads, who is a 2024 grantee, they have had just an amazing series of bead workshops, and they have a couple of them that are coming up this Saturday. I think the 15th is Saturday, and that's from 2 to 4 at the Wellness Center. So that's an opportunity to check out what they're doing, and then they're also going to have another one on the 20th at Analog Wine Library. So if you haven't been to one of their workshops, it's really amazing what they've been doing. And people who come to these workshops get to work on a small hexagon, and then it kind of adds to this larger tapestry. Krannert Art Museum is hosting a love letters, sort of long distance love letters workshop where people can come in, hang out at Krannert Art Museum. Looks like you can get some coffee and snacks and write letters to loved ones. Apparently last year they did this too, and it was a lot more about writing to people that you no longer see, either like loved ones who are no longer with us, or maybe friendships that have ended, that sort of thing, sort of a reflective thing. So yeah, they reached out to me and wanted me to share it with you all. And also, there is an exhibit happening at Analog throughout all of February, and it's Fiber February, run by Brittany Hayen, who does needle punch work. So she has sort of put together an exhibit, and that's available to check out too.
Back room or up in the front part of the
Back
building?
room, I believe. And they're also, I don't have an image on here, but they're doing lots of different workshops to go along with it too. And I also wanted to just share that the IMC is doing their community nights. And this is a weekly event every Thursday. And I believe that different Thursdays have different sort of themes. So this Thursday, the theme is games, crafts, and karaoke. I personally have gone to a few of these, if I haven't shared with you all before, but it's super fun. A lot of different groups will show up just knitting while they're singing karaoke, or just kind of hanging out and watching other people paint and that sort of thing. So it's pretty cool. And that's all I have. Does anyone else have any opportunities, events that they want to share?
Back, but oh, okay.
Vivian Ricardo said he's coming across the street, so he'll be here.
Oh, okay.
On Monday, CUSF Schools is having a fundraiser from, I think it's 1 to 7, and there's a number of bands that have teachers in them that are performing throughout the afternoon. And my band plays, I think, at 2:15 at the City Center on
Oh,
on
nice.
Sunday.
Yes.
I believe also the Common Ground Co-op has an art gallery reception coming up. I did not know how to say her name, so I was hoping you would chime in with it. Kathy Misek?
Yeah,
Misek?
sorry about that. Yeah,
That's
Kathy
all right.
Misek has
Misek.
a new installation at the co-op. And on Thursday, the 20th, from 4 to 6, we'll have light refreshments, wine tastings, food, charcuterie, that kind of thing. So feel free to stop by. And then Kathy, all of her artwork is for sale. And I think she'll also be bringing additional work. So stop by on Thursday. Thanks.
Sure.
I mean, we can just talk about other events
We can
too.
Would you want to finish up the discussion about the Eric show that we didn't get to finish last time? The art show?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I don't think I have notes with me on where we left off, but
As my memory says, we were talking about maybe finding a way to fund some of the participants afterwards, whether they were in high school or other grades.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we got very involved with it because we were hurrying to get out.
and I guess I just wanted to add to this right now that currently, just because of capacity and staff and whatnot, Sarah and I kind of decided that the Youth Poet Laureate program was going to be a little bit too difficult for us to sort of manage, so we haven't done that. So that is typically a $1,000 stipend that goes to a Youth Poet Laureate. So to kind of, since that money is available, it would be great for it to just go right back to a youth or two, or, you know, whatever. But so that's just a portion of funding that could be available. And I think that if it's something that you all are interested in sort of like doing some sort of sponsorship for a graduating senior or like a junior or something like that, or yeah, it's definitely doable if you all are interested in doing something like that.
That age, those kind of scholarships are very important. They make a profound difference. So I remember, I don't think I'd have gone to college if I hadn't had them. I'm not gonna, I'm in favor.
And I just want to say that I think that I definitely added Eric Show just because that's just already a showcase of high school work. And they're already, like, those high school students are coming to their opening reception with their families and bringing people there. So it's one of those things where it's really hard scheduling wise to, if you're not in the school system, to like work with students. So this could be a really, a great way to sort of support their show that they're already doing, and then sort of have a extra award or something. But that's just an idea.
Well, I'm
And I
sure,
also know that there's at the Link Gallery on campus, that they're usually at the end of the spring semester, that there's also some kind of high school show too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm personally in favor of utilizing that funding. When does that funding expire?
We would need to, like, my thought is that by having something available and given by the end of the school year, like sort of early June would be great timing, because that fiscal year ends at the end of June. So it's by no means is it too late or anything like that. And then that kind of gives me a good view of 2026 funding too.
we want to have a discussion about how to break up that amount of money though, right?
It's
All-
there.
All for one person, or should we divide
Oh,
it up
oh,
between
breaking it up.
finalists, like
Mhm.
first, second place, third place, whatever?
Yeah.
Whatever we feel's the best use of the money, perhaps, but maybe we have
Yeah.
we have to take a pause.
Yeah.
Or do you want to keep this discussion going at
I
this point?
mean, I think that if you guys are on the same page, or if someone wants to maybe kind of motion an idea, I'm not sure. I don't really know how formal it needs to be, but I also will take guidance and sort of continue the path that I'm on in terms of utilizing funding for programs. So if that's something that you're interested in, then yeah.
Have a motion to explore it further, that we're interested? Would that be proper protocol?
One thing I wonder is because the funding was used for like Urbana arts and culture, I wonder if we could do our own funding, since Eric Show is usually 40 North, or I know we do collaborations with 40 North, but I wonder if the funding could be our own special funding for youth, rather than it being just funding another program. Not that I love everything that they're doing for the Eric Show too,
Yep.
so.
That's really Dale and Pat. No, that's not her first name. Parents. I think they underwrite that, don't they?
No.
Their son's memory?
Oh, I don't think there's any money awards, if that's what you
Oh,
mean.
really?
Forty
Yeah.
North said that there
Yeah.
used to be, but there isn't.
Yeah, there's not
There
anymore.
isn't funding for
Yeah.
awards anymore for that.
And I mean, like what Sarah's saying, this could kind of look like, it could be an application that's sort of sent to art teachers at maybe the middle school and the high school or something. And then maybe they can sort of submit or work with the student to submit some sort of portfolio or something like that. And then you guys could look at it and they could come here or something like that. So that could be really cool also.
like an artist in residency program, that we could have artists apply and maybe submit proposals for the high school, middle school.
Like for, like an artist in residency that's a high school student? Or?
No, it'd be an artist, like a local artist that maybe it's music, maybe it's performance, maybe it's a multimedia that would come to the high school and, you know, kind of like what they have, like right now at the Urbana Library with the storytelling.
I mean, I think that'd be a great, like, arts grant that any of those teachers are totally capable of applying to and have done some applications in the past for art in schools.
The Schools Foundation does that too, because I serve on their committee.
Yeah, so I think this would be a different thing where it's very much just like, I mean, the idea was just like an honorarium, a stipend,
Help them cover supplies, for example, all the materials that they have to use to
Yeah.
create the entry.
Well, maybe we could just finalize a decision next, I won't be at the next meeting, but if maybe we could finalize something either today or by next meeting, that way we have, you know, if we finalize things in March, we'd probably have a month or so to get applications going for whatever, and that way the money is used and submitted by June.
yeah. Well, I don't know if Sarah, if you would want to write a proposal, or I could do some sort of proposal, and then I could bring it back to you all next meeting, and then maybe have like one option, and then you guys can take a look at it and see what you think. Because I think that there's definitely funding out there, and this would be very specifically for this. And I know that we have some new people on the commission, and we're about to get a new person on the commission. So it'd be great to also maybe do a presentation of all the programs that we do, because sometimes it's like, oh, why are we adding this when maybe there's that or whatever. So it would be good to get on the same page as to what we're already doing, and then talk about it then.
Are there any local businesses or like civic clubs that might be willing to help sponsor a gift like that?
Possibly.
And-
Like, it makes me wonder, maybe Art Coop, having supplies, we could maybe work with them.
Because they have a gallery, maybe that person can have a display in their
Yep.
gallery as well,
The
as part
Park
of their
District.
prize.
Park District has classes,
Or in your
Springer
gallery.
Cultural Center has classes, maybe they would, you know, might need to just think more on what you guys want, I guess, so.
Some gifts don't necessarily have to be financial, but they can give them exposure and opportunities that would be welcome, I would think. Like we share with sometimes the have exhibits over at the library too. I think there's maybe a lot of possibilities we hadn't thought about.
Yeah.
But now we can.
Definitely. Right. Well, we can continue that. Yeah, so I think that if someone wants to, this is something you would want to make a motion towards, is continuing the conversation to kind of look at a proposal together.
Have a motion to continue the discussion and explore the ideas further?
I motion to continue the conversation on the scholarships.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 The ayes have it. Shall we move on to our presentation?
Yes. Right. And
Have
do
a-
you have a USB, or do you have any sort of? I don't. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, and
Okay.
that microphone, there's a button on there, so as long as it's green, yep, that's on, so you can
Okay.
use that.
Well, this is going to be grant presentation from the New American Welcome Center. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. My name is Ricardo Diaz. Actually, I just became director of the New American Welcome Center, but I've been around it since the beginning. 7 years ago when we formalized it. And the New American Welcome Center has had several activities, but the grant that you guys funded has to do with a particular welcoming week, but I would be remiss not to tell you more of the context of it. And so there are two documents that I hope you would be acquainted with. The first one is this one. We internally, we just call it the demographic report. It was produced starting about 10 years ago. It contains census data and other parts in extrapolation. And it basically told us how many foreign-born there are in the county, what their contributions were, economic contributions, but also all the other places where we have regular contact with. It also showed that Urbana has a higher proportional number of a higher ratio of immigrants than Champaign. But overall, we're talking about 25,000. At the time, we're thinking that the 2020 census is, you know, in spite of the recounting, whatever else, we're talking about 30,000 foreign-born in our 210,000 people county. So it's a significant number. At the time that this was done, immigrants, foreign-born, contribute about $1.4 billion to the county economy, and it was a surprising amount, and we had to go and triangulate it and make sure. But if you count the foreign-born count, you know, a lot of university people, a lot of Carl people, and of course their economic footprint is quite large. And at the time, we didn't have a lot of data also about the backs of the restaurants and all those places that they're not likely as counted just because they're not ready access to our census. But that gave us then the background for what turned out to be the welcoming plan for Champaign County. The welcoming plan takes the data that we started, and then we did focus groups, and then we did a survey of about 800 people. We could predict what the priorities were because we've seen other welcoming plans across the country, but we needed to make it ours. And so, including Urbana, backed the data gathering and then the writing of the report. What is most relevant to us today is that there are 5 focus groups, communities of practice, we started calling them, in which we divide the work of executing the welcoming plan. It was released 3 years ago, slightly over 3 years ago. We had a big meeting at the iHotel in which we introduced it. We received comments, and then we started gathering people to become part of the execution. So they can be found at on the website, University YMCA/welcome, or you just search NAWC, New American Welcome Center, NAWC at university. And so that gives you the background. Turning over to what Welcoming Week is, which is one of the parts of what we want to do in celebrating immigrants and their contributions. We started that actually much earlier, about 12 years ago, the Immigration Forum. There was just a lot of hardships going on, and we said we have to own our presence here. And so instead of letting things be out there, we planned what we wanted to do, but we started Welcoming Week that many years ago with one soccer game here at the high school at Urbana High, teachers against parents. And it was quite fun, but that grew because there's a national organization that has Welcoming Week that establishes nationwide. They provide some materials, a little banner, and so we started doing that. And so what you guys funded, I just read our summary at the end of September. It was At the time of the count, which is the last day, we had 3,800 participants during that week. 40 activities varying from the library. Outside of it, we have a cakewalk, and then we have the welcome awards down in the basement. Often the same days. We had Xander, you helped out in us survive. We had El Grito, which is Mexican independence celebration. My hope was that we would have 1,000 people at it. I promised as much. We had 600 the year before. The way things turned out, the city says that it was probably 2,000 or more people there. It's a good thing we had planned it as an accordion, but it became much bigger than we had expected. The impact, just the fallout of it was so good. We also had activities at the county museum. That's officially on the Champaign side, I guess, too. But it generates a lot of energy. By now, many of the agencies, not-for-profits of the area will sponsor their own event. We try to pair it with an ethnic group, whether it's a Chinese activity and building, in this case, building a little motor that the kids loved. Sometimes it's food related. It's trying to show the variety of people that are in the community. And so the agency is already serving the foreign-born. What we get requested from is how do we integrate them? How do we get more to come to our services? And so Welcoming Week for us serves as an overlap of common interest. Usually the immigrant and their families want to show off dress, food, whatever they have. And if we can pair it with a hosting site, then they get used to that. I remember Anita Purves was a classic example. Having an outdoor activity outside, it uses up the kid area, and then people realize that there's a beautiful place where they can do nature walks and that kind of activity. So anyway, we start organizing 6 months before. We actually have monthly meetings in which all the agencies come. It's usually immigrant news, what are they doing, what's coming up between them. And then by June, Welcoming Week starts taking over. What are you going to do? Who are you going to do it with? And then we start ramping up. We had 600 people at our opening this year here at Lincoln Square. It was doubled than what we'd had the year before. Now we are planted in Lincoln Square as an office. We have about 16 employees, and so we serve the community directly on. Our grants are mostly statewide, and so we serve basics, housing, food, just the emergency, especially with the newcomers. ESMAS grant was through Urbana before, and now it's run through the city of Champaign, but meeting the basic needs of people, especially the new arrivals. The state was very generous in a grant for people that were newly arrived in the state altogether. It's a separate grant, but for us, it all ties into both highlighting the needs, but then the contribution of immigrants and Welcoming Week, which you funded. It's now the centerpiece of us bringing people together. And I just wanted to thank you for that. I know that it's easier to just send you something, but for us, it's a key event. And so I wanted to come back and tell you about it, and maybe I'll send the link for the bucket that we have for pictures of that week. Thank you.
That'll probably be on our UPTV, right, as well?
Kind of depends on the format of what it
What
is,
you
but
send?
yeah. And I just wanted to add, Welcoming Week is amazing, and I know the city of Urbana, separate from the arts and culture grant, does a lot of sort of participation in there, and I know that like Bridget, who is our communications person, does a lot with
Yeah.
Welcoming Week. And
Day with the mayor.
yeah. So they really like supporting it too. So it's pretty amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just passed a summary email to your email that came up first, and then we can trade it. Any questions? If there's any way we can help, or if you, out of an agency that you work with, would like to participate, like I said, we have monthly meetings leading up to it, because the hardest thing is nailing down who has the activity ready, so when we print, we have a little accordion in which people can see what's happening every time of the week, because it gets complicated with so many events running in 1 week. So.
Hey, Ricardo, I have a question. Are there some new immigrant groups that are coming into Champaign-Urbana, and how are they learning about the center?
You know, it's surprising. That's a great question, because for the longest time, people started concentrating on the fact that we had a Cancobal community from northern Guatemala. It turns out now they're the old, they're ingrained. We took 2 years to train them how to interpret through just the umph of Professor Maldonado on campus. But now we even have an instructor of Cancobal on campus that's starting this summer. But the Congolese and the Cancobal are now pretty well settled, integrated. We have, they are the bulk of our clients, if you will, because they're still getting in. The one group that that is, it surprised me as we started getting, we have people from Angola coming in, and they're Portuguese speakers, and we were not ready for them in the sense of materials that we have to communicate. Portuguese and Spanish, there's an overlap, but it's not the same language, and certainly they're coming from a war-torn kind of situation. Recently, the Congolese, there's a big mess in their government, and so we expect more Congolese will be coming. Another group that we've just targeted, we counted 2-3 weeks ago, because I'm new, and so I get to ask all the questions, all the newbie questions. We have 11 languages in our staff, and most of our staff are somewhere in the immigration process, so they're very empathetic. And with the national smoke, because it's hard to see through it to what is real. Yes, everyone's worried. Every category of foreign-born, including naturalized, they just don't know. So the other one is actually Ukrainians. Back when the war in Ukraine started, not with this latest invasion, but with when Russia invaded the Crimea, there was an exodus of people from Ukraine, ethnic Russians going to Moscow. And it just so happens that I was there in Moscow when that happened. And the number of professionals such as yourselves that said this is going to get hot started leaving Ukraine, Russian speaking. Obviously, the war over the last 2 years has gotten a separation of people fleeing war. I mean, and on the Russian side, they can't escape, but a lot of the ethnic Russians that live in the old satellite countries, and now I'm talking Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, we're getting some of them too. So pair that with Ukrainian, Chicago received about 40,000 Ukrainians at the beginning of the war, or starting at the beginning of the war. And you add that up with the other 50,000 that were shipped from the border to Chicago, that's a lot of people to absorb. So it would be natural that they started spilling out. We were ready actually for a bus back a year ago, but as it turns out, they didn't send us a bus. They just decided to keep everybody. But of course, it's a free country, so people start moving out. And so that's what we were receiving. Some of those Russian-speaking that I'm in talks right now to get a staff person that speaks Russian, because we don't have a lot of those clients. We don't have them as clients yet. And it's not a chicken and the egg. It's not because they don't want and they don't have needs. Their problem is ours. We don't have capacity. We don't have a Russian speaker on staff. So why would they come?
Ricardo, I just have a question. Do you all work with the houses on campus, like the various cultural houses?
Yes.
And that sort of relationship, is it like just back and forth information, or like, hey, like, have
Well,
you?
we do cultural events. Welcoming Week, they participated with us. We will often have, because we are a program of the Y, we have a constant both intern and then activities with the student groups, including the houses, because not all of the student groups are housed in the houses. So, for example, the Filipino group is sponsored by the Y directly, Filipino Student Association. So yes, we do, but not enough. During Welcoming Week, they ran a couple of events on campus that officially were not on our calendar because they didn't get themselves on the calendar. Student groups start kind of getting themselves together in August, and by then our calendar is already printed. There's another way in which we collaborate, and that brings us to today's news. Since the inauguration, all the stuff that's come out of the White House targets different groups. And the students, international students, but also affinity students that are the children of immigrants, are rightfully feeling further oppressed. And so there was a rally a week ago, yesterday, in the Quad, sponsored by a group of students, but you know, they got over 200 people to come out. And that was mostly sponsored by one group who organizes the undocumented students. Over the last month, I have learned the word undocumented. That is the program called DACA that has those young people that were brought here as children. They were registered, and then they in Illinois, they're safe for tuition if they qualify academically and all that. I had thought that, well, DACA closed, the last Trump administration closed DACA, but they couldn't rebuff. Anybody who had been registered under DACA remained, which means it doesn't legalize them, it just means that they're in the process in the limbo area. Well, as it's turned out, DACA was closed, and there's a lot of young people that are not citizens, but they are foreign-born, but they can't register as DACA for an official registration. Everybody says, why don't you do it legally? Well, because in this case, there is no other way there is no DACA, there is no way to register. So a lot of our students that are presently at U of I are undocumented. They were too young to register for the program, and now it's too late because the program is closed. Now, we expect that the administration will try to close DACA. It sunsets actually this year. But what do you do with 400,000 people that have been registered, they've been doing everything, and they're not? Kick them out? They're going to look really bad if they do that, especially because those kids are now older young adults, late 20s, and they're lawyers, they're doctors, they're everything. And it would be stupid to try to send them out because now we have also our own brain drain, if you will. So anyway, that's a particular situation. They closed off the continuation of about 250 Venezuelans. They took off TPS. They have closed off refugees. They won't be coming anymore, at least for a little while. The refugee center is greatly affected because they usually receive refugees. Asylees, people that claimed asylum as they enter the United States, and to remind everybody, it's a perfectly legal process, national and international law. They're trying to close it off. They might succeed in practice, but it'll be illegal, and which means, once again, the lawyers will be out fighting. We don't have any detention lawyers here in town. Go ahead.
I just want to be aware of time.
I agree.
But it sounds like there's a lot of information that people can come and learn about if they wanted to stop by.
We're just across the street, right behind the co-op.
Mm-hmm.
If you'll go through the co-op, the next door that you go into the mall, we're there right in front. And so,
Well, thank you so much. I also just want to, I don't know if you are aware, but I probably have sent you an email, but the next round of arts grants are going to be open for applications in March, and I really hope that you all are able to apply again.
Thank you. And we probably will. We've been talking about what kind of budget do we change this year. The expenditures that have come out at us because of the national scene is just, it drains. But yeah, we'll come back. So, thank you very much for your time.
Enlightening us. It looks like we are at the end of our agenda for the day, unless, is there anything else that we need to discuss or bring up before we close today?
I don't think so. And I just wanted to say that I hope that you all got my email about the June meeting. So I'll be at a conference, so I won't be there for that. And hopefully we'll have more information on some programming next meeting, and then also joined by our new commissioners. That's really all I have.
Items to add before we adjourn our meeting today?
A motion to adjourn?
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. The ayes have it. Have a good evening, everyone.